evict a tenant to sell your house? The answer is yes and no. There are ways that you can go about doing this, but here is the absolute truth. There are tenant rights and there are landlord rights, and you must respect both of them. My name's Daniel Hale. I'm a real estate agent that works with a ton of investors, and I sell a lot of tenanted properties and help landlords with tenant situations. So when it comes to selling your property, if you want it vacant before the sale, the truth is the only option you really have, unless the tenant is willing to move out and you assist them with finding a new place, is going with cash for keys. This is something that is negotiable amongst the landlord and the tenant if they are willing to accept cash for keys and give you the keys back in exchange for your property vacant. And this is an excellent option because the truth is it does assist the tenant in moving out, helps them find a new place, and it helps you get your property back so you can stage it, prepare it for sale, and do everything that you want to do to get top dollar. Now, if you do go with cash for keys, you have to make sure that that tenant signs an N11, which is a notice to end the tenancy, because you don't want any issues later and you want this documented that you paid cash for keys to have your property back and that tenant agreed to move out based on those terms. Now, when you're selling your tenanted property, the tenant also does have the right to stay in the property during the sale. Your rights as the landlord is that you are allowed to sell the property and the tenant cannot interfere or disturb anything that has to do with that sale as long as you provide 24 hours notice for showings and preparation of the sale. Now, you have to understand, if an investor buys the property, the tenant has the right to stay and the investor must assume the tenancy. If somebody is buying the property for their own personal use, which means they are moving into the property for their personal use, you can issue an N12 notice of eviction to that tenant, which gives them 60 days to move out of the property. Now, you have to submit that N12 notice of eviction from the time that they pay rent. It cannot be after the day they pay rent. The 60 days must start from the time that the tenant pays rent. So make sure, it's very important when you do submit the N12 to the tenant, your dates have to be accurate. Otherwise, it's null and void and you're gonna run into some serious problems. Now, when you do the agreement of purchase and sale, make sure you have a real estate agent that has done this before and has sold tenanted properties. I can't stress this enough. You can get yourself in a lot of trouble and you're the one that gets sued if something goes wrong, not the real estate agent. So you want to make sure that you have the appropriate clauses and conditions in the agreement of purchase and sale if you are issuing the N12. Because here's the other kicker in Ontario. A tenant does not have to leave in that 60 days if they feel that you have illegally sold the property or done anything unlawfully. They have the right to a landlord and tenant board hearing. Now, if this happens and you don't have the appropriate clauses and conditions in the agreement of purchase and sale, you could get the closing date, the tenant could still be in the property, and now all of a sudden the buyers don't want to close and they want to sue you and come after you for any damages or any liabilities that you might have caused. So the truth is, if you have an appropriate agreement of purchase and sale and you're prepared, you can now go all the way to the landlord and tenant board hearing, which in Ontario, unfortunately, it can take up to 6 to 8 months. And then what you have to do at the landlord and tenant board hearing is prove that the property was sold legally with providing the N12, the purchase and sale agreement, and the fact that the buyer signed an affidavit stating that they are going to move in. The adjudicator will then see that you did everything lawfully and you did not do anything illegally, and they will grant the eviction. So you have to understand there is a big process when it comes to selling your tenanted property. Cash for keys, always great if you guys can come to an amicable agreement amongst the landlord and the tenant. Get the N11 signed, the N12 if the purchaser is looking to move in, their parent is looking to move in, their child is looking to move in, or their caregiver. You have to make sure that all this stuff is done right. And if you are looking to sell your tenanted property and you want a real estate agent that knows how to get this done and assist you within Ontario, just shoot me an email, send me a text, or give me a call and watch this video so you can learn more.